Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me this evening. My name is John LaCroix. I am the owner and race director of the Human Potential Running Series, and I'm excited to do our monthly clinic with you tonight. Here is April 15th, 2025, and this month's free webinar, free clinic, is going to be talking about drop bags. So my goal throughout this clinic is to well, it's designed for trail and ultra marathon runners to learn about drop bags. What is a drop bag? When and where are they allowed? What are the typical rules around them? What should you have in them? And what are the realities of drop bags some folks may not think about? So we're going to talk about this for a little bit. I don't know if I have an hour's worth of information to talk about drop bags. But I've got enough information that I'd love to share with you all. If you're live, please comment, ask questions. Happy to answer them and engage with you. It'd be great if you did. And if you're watching the recording on our YouTube channel, send me an email, sherpajohn@gmail.com, SHERPAJOHN@gmail.com. I'd love to help you out. I also want to make sure, of course, that we mention our website, www.humanpotentialrunning.com. Would love for you to check out our series of events. We are Colorado's largest series of trail and ultra marathon running events. We're one of the top 3 largest ultra marathon series in the nation. We have 12 events that span the entire calendar year. And we would, I'm looking for a logo. I don't have it. We'd love to have you at any one of those events. The next one of which coming up on May 10th is the Niwatch Challenge, and on May 17th is Endure Trail Runs. You can check that out on our website. We have a 10K, a half marathon, a unique 12-hour timed event where you run as many miles as you can or want within the allotted time, and a unique 24-hour event. We'd love to have you check any of those out, be a part of our fun little community here at HPRS. All right, so what is a drop bag? A drop bag is a personal goodie bag. I don't know if there's any better way to describe what it is for you. By the way, if you're here live, I'm giving away a pair of Catula Exo Spikes. If somebody asks a great question in the comments here on Facebook while we do this live via Facebook, and again, it's recorded, uploaded to YouTube later, give us a great question or offer some great advice in the comments here on Facebook, and you're going to be entered to win a pair of Catula Exo Spikes. Compliments of our partner, Catula, who is supporting all of our clinics this year. We're excited to have them, and I'd love to give you a pair of spikes. So a great question or some other great information to share here. I'll give you another reminder as we go through the program. But yeah, win a pair of Exo Spikes from Catula. Check it out. Also known as the brand that makes micro spikes. Okay. So a drop bag it's a personal goodie bag. It is a bag that you could have not in all races, but in some races, typically of ultra marathon in length or longer. I think some trail marathons allow them as well. And essentially, like, the race will tell you if you can have a drop bag and specifically where you can have them. And what you will do is prepare your own drop bag to have at each of those locations. We're going to deep dive into this. I've got examples of what some of those bags might look like. I've got examples of some of the things that you might put in the bag. And I'm excited to share those with you. So I would say that, so first things first, again, the race is going to tell you if you can have them or not. I'm going to use an example race here at HPRS, and the race that I'm going to use is Sheep Mountain Trail Runs. Sheep Mountain Trail Runs has a half marathon, a 50K, and a 50 mile. And we welcome drop bags at that event. And I'm going to pull up the sheet here so you can see exactly what you would look for at the race to determine if drop bags are allowed and where to have them. So for each of our races here at HPRS, and every race is different, but at our races we have this. This is our runner drive, where you can get all kinds of information about the race that you're going to be running. And within the runner drive is an aid station chart. Here it is. I just highlighted it in blue. Let me use my fun little marker tool. It's right here. Here's our aid station chart. So if you click on that, it's going to give you a list of all of the aid stations. So here's a name of all the aid stations. And then there's like each distance, 50 mile, 50K, and the half marathon. And then over here, can you have drop bags? Can you have crews? Can you have pacers? And that information is highlighted on this side. So next month, we're going to talk about crews. In June, we're going to talk about pacers or some conglomeration of that. We're talking about drop bags tonight. And here I got the D indicates drop bags. And so this sheet, the aid station chart, says that you can have drop bags at Horseshoe 1, Watrous, Round Hill, and Pasture, and Horseshoe 2. All of your cutoffs are also listed. Aid stations that are water only are also listed. This information is there to help you prepare so that you know, all right, I've got a drop bag here. I'm not going to have a drop bag again until Watrous. And one of those aid stations in between here and there has water only. So there's no aid, there's no food, there's no volunteers. It's just a water stop, like a lonely water stop. So what I would say is if I was running in the 50 mile, I know I can have a drop bag at 7.1 miles, and I can have another one at 22.7 miles. So we're talking 15 miles in between drop bags. If I don't have a crew and I'm self-supported, I might rely on these drop bags. So whatever I pick up in this drop bag at mile 7.1, I want to be able to get me to my next drop bag 15-ish miles away. We'll call it 15 and a half. I know some of you are really sensitive about exact mileage. All right, so this drop bag would have everything that I need to get me to my next drop bag. And then after Watrous, the next drop bag is at Round Hill, less than 5 miles away. Well, that's not far. But you can also have a crew at that location. And then the next stretch is going to be, that looks like 9 miles, 9.4 miles between drop bags and crews. I'm also going to pick up a pacer at that next one. So these aid station charts are really valuable. And every race presents this information to you in different ways. This is how we do it at HPRS. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way. As an ultra runner myself, these are the ways that I prefer to present this, to read and receive this information. So that's how I present it to you. Your opinion might differ. What's important to me is that I've got the information. And I think it's real important for races to convey this information accurately. Also on this sheet, I want to point out something else about this race. It says manned aid station names are in bold. It says manned aid station names in bold are hubs with a fuller menu. So that means that all of these stations that are in bold are going to have a more robust aid station fare. And then Watrous is going to have more limited foods. Same with Pasture. Those are going to be a little more limited. So because it says manned aid stations not in bold font will have food and drink, but a more limited menu. Okay. Now, I want to note that The half marathon goes to Horseshoe 1. It's the only time it goes to Horseshoe, but it's indicated drop bags are welcome there. So half marathon runners at this race are also welcome to have a drop bag at Horseshoe 1. Now, why would somebody in the half marathon want to have a drop bag at Horseshoe 1? Well, that's your turnaround point. But typically at this race, it might be around, 30 to 35 degrees at the start in the morning, and you're all bundled up and dressed up. And then when you get to the turnaround, the sun's come up, it's been up long enough, and now you're warm. And so you want to dish some clothes. So you might just send an empty bag. You might, let me turn this off. You might just send an empty bag out to Horseshoe so you can take whatever clothes you might not want to be wearing anymore. You can stuff it in this empty bag. Before you show up, before you give us this bag, you'll give us this bag at the start. I'll tell you more about that in a second, but you'll give us this bag at the start. And what you'll want to do is put a strip of duct tape on it, and with a permanent marker, you write your last name, your bib number, and the distance that you're in and where it's going. So mine would say LaCroix, bib 50, Horseshoe, half marathon. Sometimes I leave out the name part and it'll just be your bib. Number 50, half marathon, Horseshoe. Great. It'll make it there. It'll also make it back. So when you get to Horseshoe, if you're in the half marathon, you take off whatever clothing you're not going to wear anymore or want, dump it in this bag, turn around and head back to town with your shorts and short sleeves now that it's warmer. Eventually this bag will make it back there for you. Okay, so that's when and where they're allowed. So what is a drop bag? It's a personal goodie bag. It's for you to stash items you might need during the race, things you might want during the race, personal motivation that you might want to have in there at various aspects throughout the race. You put those all in your drop bags. The race will tell you if they are allowed and where they are allowed and when they're allowed. And they're also going to kind of intimate to you the typical rules around them. So what are the typical rules? I'll tell you that most races have a rule that your drop bag can't be a cooler. So it can't be like a handled cooler of any kind that's like this big. It doesn't collapse. It doesn't shrink at all. It's just like bulky and big for the race to be able to transport that. So a lot of races will have a rule, no coolers. Some races will have a rule that specifies the specific dimensions that your drop bag must be smaller than. So think about how big can your carry-on be when you're getting on a plane and going on a trip, right? All of the airlines tell you the size that your carry-on can and cannot be. Can't be bigger than this. And if you try to get on the plane with something bigger than the allowed measurement, I'm sorry, you're going to have to check your bag. There's no bag check at a race, right? It's, if some races, if your bag is larger than the allowed size, they're not even going to pick your bag up. They're not going to transport it. They're going to leave it at the start finish. And when you might get to a point where you're like, well, my drop bag never made it. It's like, yeah, well, it was too big. So we didn't transport it. So that's something else to pay attention to. If there's nothing posted, then it's a free-for-all, right? I always tell our runners, if your drop bag is big enough to stuff a body into it, especially if you were to hack that body up with a hacksaw, stuff everybody's parts inside the bag and duct tape it up and get ready to throw it in the river. It's too big. It's too big. So keep your drop bags of reasonable size, okay? Be reasonable. Now, what is reasonable? I honestly can't find any pictures of drop bags that that I've ever used. For some reason, that's a really hard find for me. But I'm going to kind of show you some mistakes that I made over the years with my crew by having them cart some stuff around the earth for me. It's pretty funny, kind of where I was when I first started trail and ultra marathon running. I didn't know any better. Uh, I had some mentors, but they really didn't teach me the ins and outs of drop bag type stuff. So I'm actually just finding some pictures quick here that I'm going to share with you in a moment. Okay, so the next question that we usually get is on that chart that I showed you, and let me go back to it so you can see it again. You're going to see, well, I go to horseshoe once and then I go to horseshoe again. So do I need two different drop bags for that one aid station? No. You will have the same drop bag both times you go through. So you will send one drop bag to that station and you're going to access it 2 times. One bag both times you go through. So you're not sending 2 different bags, one for the first time through, a different one for the second time through. It's one bag that you'll use the same time, both times you go through there. Another question I get asked often is, so do I prepare one drop bag and then the race takes it all around the course for me to all the different stops? Absolutely not. That's not how this works. I want you to let's think about that for a moment. If I have 100 runners in a race and they all have a drop bag, and I need to take everybody's one bag and transport it to all of the different places that they can access that bag, that's 100 bags. But in a 50-mile race, especially something like Sheep Mountain, I can tell you that from the front runner to the last runner, the spread of miles between runner 1 and runner 2, so first and last, could be like 20 miles or more. It could be a 50K. It's massive how spread out you all become. So I would need an army of volunteers willing to drive these drop bags all around the course the entire day. There's no way to be efficient with that. It's not good for the environment for us to be doing all of that driving around the course. So that doesn't really make much sense. So that's why it's like, no, it's not one bag for every stop. It's one bag at every stop that you can have a bag. So what you do is, again, you'll show up to the race and you have whatever your bag is. I'm going to ask Emily to give me one of those other bags upstairs. Okay. You'll have this bag, put a strip of duct tape on it, bib number, distance you're running in, aid station it's going to. It's ready to go. You're going to show up to the race, and at check-in or the start-finish line, or out in the parking lot or wherever it is, the race director will have a collection of places around the area. There'll be like a wooden stake and a sign on it. And so for Sheep Mountain, there would be a sign that says horseshoe. And everybody that has a drop bag that goes to, thank you, that has a drop bag that's going to go to horseshoe would take their bag and put it in front of the horseshoe sign or behind the horseshoe sign or whatever. All the drop bags are going to go. If you have a bag going to horseshoe, it goes to where the horseshoe sign is. Then we have drop bags at Watrous. There'll be another sign. Wooden stake, sign on it, says Watrous. If you have a drop bag for Watrous, you're going to put that bag at the drop bag at that sign for Watrous. And that's what's going to happen is, as the volunteers show up to grab their supplies, to go out and erect that aid station and be there for you, all of the drop bags that are already there, they're going to pick those up too. So when they get to their aid station location, they're going to set up their aid station and your drop bags will be right there. Now, sometimes the volunteers have already come and picked up their stuff and some of the drop bags, and off they go. And then more people arrive with more drop bags for that same station. And what I do is I have a race gopher. It's somebody who they volunteered to drive their vehicle, and their job is to take whatever leftovers are still there at the start to make sure they get to their spot in time for you to access that bag during the race. So I worry about the logistics of getting your bags where they need to go. You worry about getting the bags assembled, labeling them appropriately, and making sure that those bags have everything you need in that bag, however many times that you're going to see that bag. Okay? Also, I want to tell you, as I tell everybody, drop bags are not handled with tender love and care. Typically what happens is a car pulls up to one of those signs where the pile of drop bags are. A volunteer vehicle will pull up to it. They'll open the hatchback, the trunk, or it's the bed of a pickup truck, whatever it is. And like 3 or 4 volunteers are going to grab a handful of drop bags at a time and huck them into the car. Or sometimes people will place them nicely into the car, but generally, most of the drop bags I've seen in my 20 years in the sport, they're like picked up and get them in there. Let's go. Get them in there. We got to go. We got to make it to that spot before the runners get there. Then when the volunteer will drive to the spot, when they get there, when they get to the aid station where the drop bags go, they'll open it up. And same thing, 2 or 3 volunteers will go to the car and they'll just start grabbing as many as they can, and they put them on the ground into the spot that they go. And they're not handled with love and care. They're oftentimes just kind of thrown there. Then after the aid station's closed, or it's time to maybe do a mid-race transport of drop bags, same process. Another car, another few volunteers, throwing the bags in, drive them back to the finish line. Trunk opens up, all the bags get thrown back out onto the ground for you to come and retrieve them later. So when we say, please don't put anything of value in your drop bag, please don't put anything in your drop bag that you would be really upset if it got lost or broken. Don't put those things in your drop bag. The chances of them being damaged, lost, broken, whatever, are pretty high. Also, race is not responsible for theft. Somebody might pick up your drop bag because it looks identical to their drop bag. And next thing you know, they've opened your bag and they're rubbing, none of this stuff is my stuff. Shit. So they'll hurry up, try to put some away, or somebody will take the bag from them and forget your headlamp that dropped at their feet. And the runner is like, oh, I have the same headlamp. Now they pick up the headlamp thinking it's theirs. Honest mistake. They got your headlamp on thinking that it's their headlamp. Unfortunately, your headlamp just got stolen by somebody else. And there's a myriad of other things that can happen in an aid station where drop bags might get messed with, or there's confusion, or something happened that your drop bag is not intact. Some of your items are missing. It looks like it's been rifled through. It's not always nefarious in nature. It's just things happen. Aid stations are a hectic place in a lot of races. So don't put anything in those bags that you would be upset if they were lost or stolen. Okay. Where else am I at? I told you what the rules are, typical rules. All right, what should you have in them? Let's take a look at some of these drop bags I have. All right. So I'm going to pick up all these bags. I'm going to grab one more. All right. So here we go. I got a pile of these bags. And these are all possibilities. It's really up to you. I've seen all kinds of things over the years. I've directed over 100 events. The creativity of drop bag that I have seen is otherworldly. Again, if you have a great question or you have helpful comments, helpful suggestions about drop bags, put them in the comments on Facebook. One lucky winner is going to wear a pair of exo spikes, micro spikes, from our friends at Catula. All right, let's take a look at these bags that I have. All right. This is a 6.5 liter bag. It's just like a stuff sack. This one's a Sea to Summit stuff sack. I know I bought this at Sierra Trading Post. If all I'm picking up is like a refill of, I don't know, so let's say you're at a race and you don't like the electrolyte drink that they're using. Some races are just using straight up Gatorade. If you don't like Gatorade or you need more than Gatorade, you got to bring your own electrolyte mix. You got to bring your own powder. And what you would do is you would put a refill of your electrolyte mix and maybe a couple extra little Ziploc baggies of that mix as well in this bag to get you to the next drop bag spot. So what I do for a race is, all right, I'm going to pick up my drop bag at Horseshoe 1. I know that after Horseshoe, the next drop bag spot is Watrous. But after Horseshoe, I'll go through Browns Pass, and I'll go through 12 Mile, and then I'll get to Watrous. So then I need 3 bags of electrolyte mix at Horseshoe. 1 for when I'm there, 1 for Browns Pass, 1 for 12 Mile. That would go in this bag. I'm also going to put in here any foods that I particularly like to eat. Bonk breakers are great. Pro One bars, gummy bears, sour Patch Kids, whatever fun little snack you might want or enjoy. I'll put that in here too. And then I'll zip her up. Piece of duct tape, bib number, where it's going, what distance I'm in, drop it off at the start. Okay? So this size drop bag is good for like the very basics. Obviously, you wouldn't put a pair of shoes in here. This is a Cordura fabric Sea to Summit. It's another little drop bag. I couldn't tell you how big this is. It's not labeled. This is too small. This is going to get lost. This is going to get lost. I don't want to lose this. So I may or may not use it, depending on where it's going and what race I'm doing. But there you go. That's another little bag that you could use as a drop bag. They come in all shapes and sizes. This is an old stuff sack for a down jacket that I have. I've used this as a drop bag. We also have another Sea to Summit Cordura fabric bag, a little bigger than the last one I showed you. This one's great. And I love it because it's ripstop. It's a bright color. So if I have to look for my own drop bag at the aid station, I'm going to be able to find this. I don't think I'm going to see too many of this specific drop bag there. That's really important to think about. I want to have a bag that is going to be different from all the other bags. It's not every race that they're going to have enough volunteers to be running drop bags. Like you come to the aid station, you're like, I'm bib number 50. All right. Oh, they run over, look for drop bag for bib number 50, and they run it back to you. Here you go. And then as soon as you're done with it, you give it back, and they run it over to the done pile, left pile. If there's enough volunteers, we can do that. If there isn't, find your own drop bag. They're over there. And you'll want to be able to identify your drop bag pretty quickly. Also, this is a bag that I could... Oh, I've got a bright orange ripstop bag. I can describe that. They're going to go over there. They're looking for it. The thing I don't like about these types of bags is the closure. So this is just... That's like a zip. That could come up undone in transport while it's being handled with rigor. And your shit's falling out. Not ideal. Okay. Another drop bag. I also have this 4-liter Cordura ripstop. I've used this as a drop bag. Same idea. This has a different enclosure that I like more than the ones that I just showed you. It's a roll top. So I would just put my stuff in it, roll it down, boom. I got a little handle. That's not coming undone unless you actually unclip this thing. So I like this one the closure a little bit more than the ones I just showed you. When you come to an HPRS race during check-in, you usually get a purple little sack. We've got purple, but we're going to be moving to red. This is what the new ones look like. We're going to move to red at some point this year. People use these as their drop bag all the time. They write in marker right on the bag. It's great. And that's your closure. I promise you, these open. I would duct tape the shit out of the top of this. They could open, your stuff could fall out. You're not going to be happy. But hey, a lot of people use these as their drop bag. That's why we give them to you. It's a cheap little option if you forgot yours or whatever. It's just a little doodad there. These are like $1.75 to ship to my door before tariff. Not a big deal. It's a cool little gift to give you guys. It's useful. Utilitarian. Okay. Now we're getting into the big guns. Before I do, though, some people just use Ziploc baggies.
Bruh.
Yeah, like legit a Ziploc bag, like a gallon Ziploc bag. Now listen, I'm not against Ziploc bags, but I want to say if you're going to use a Ziploc bag as your drop bag, which is cool, you can write right on the bag. Use the ones that have like an actual zipper on the Ziploc bag, right? So it's not like pinch it close Ziploc, but it's an actual zipper on the bag. Those are the ones to use because you're guaranteeing that it's closed, that it's shut. They also have the bags. They're like a darker blue color, and they're massive. And you can buy these at Walmart in the same aisle. It's a Ziploc bag, but it's like, I mean, they're big blue bag. You could get those, and I would just say again, make sure they have like the zipper closure if at all possible, or the snap closure on them is really stout. I've used those big blue bags before. They're like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, they're bigger. They're bigger than this. They're bigger than this. All right. But they're out there. So if you're going to use Ziploc bags, try to get one with an actual zipper closure. All right. One year oh, look at this. I used this one. One year we gave out these drop bags for free. They were pretty expensive to make. But they were part of your race swag. There's our old logo on it. And this is a waterproof dry sack. Most people would buy these to go on like a kayaking or canoe trip of some kind. Or you're backpacking. You don't want your stuff to get wet if you're expecting it to rain. Again, on the bottom, I've got my duct tape. Looks like it was going to a place called 571 South. I was in the 100 mile. My bib number was 123. Lucky me. And there's my last name. There's all the information. The race made sure it went to this aid station. They knew that I was in the 100 miles, so it was going to be there a while. Here's my bib number so I can ask for it when I come in, and there's my name just in case. This has a cool little shoulder strap, but it was also one of these roll top closures. You roll it down and clip. These were just big enough for shoes. And I know this because a lot of you put your shoes in them. Now, when I say shoes, I'm not talking hocus, but hold on. I'm going to show you. So I've got a brand new pair of Altras. We are not sponsored by Altra, unaffiliated with Altra. I just happen to have a pair of Altras. Size 9 men's, Olympus 5. These are pretty. Let's check it out. If you have a drop bag that you want to okay. That's it. That's all I'm getting in this bag so far, with a little bit of room up top to put some more items. But there you go. I got a dry pair of shoes. And I would suggest you be strategic with your space, and maybe you put your dry pair of socks, stuff them up inside there. You can stuff some other things in your shoe and then slide the shoe into the bag. Pretend you're like a mover trying to be super mindful of what space you actually have and how much space you actually need. So anyway, there's another. I could put a pair of shoes in it. Javelina 100 gave this out one year. Same kind of bag, just way better quality. I wish I knew. No, they have to have had these made on Alibaba like me. I just wish I knew which manufacturer. I tried. And yeah, I stole the idea from them. Same thing, roll top, clip it shut. There's a bag. And then I've got another one. This is another one I got at Sierra Trading Post. Better quality bag. Waterproof, rip stop, roll top closure, clipper shut. Sweet. If you can't fit it in here, depending on the weather forecast, if you can't fit it in here, it's way too much. You've got way too much going on. Relax. Okay. I've also seen these, just a grocery tote. This is actually mine from when I ran. I've got 2 of these from Cascade Crest. I got one from Western States. And what people do is they fill it up, and then they tie it together. Done. Here you go. Here's my drop bag. These come undone a lot too. They rip really easily. That's my finner. Okay, let's go to the comments. I find it best to use drop bags that would be waterproof. Good suggestion, Amy. Dry socks are a lifesaver. Nerd clusters. Label each baggie with the contents so you don't waste time rifling through your drop bag. Yeah, what a great suggestion. Just put like your little table of contents post on an index card inside that little bag so you know what's in the bag. And you're just, instead of like massaging your bag, what's in here? It tells you what's in there. What a great suggestion. Thank the Lord for volunteers. Yes, and we always need more. Tie the HPRS bag shut with the strings. The red bag? Let me see what you're talking about. I assume you mean something like that. Just granny knot the shit out of it. You could use duct tape too. It's cool. Thrift stores are a good place to find drop bags. Yes, they are. Great, Hung. What kind of drop bag items would you find at the thrift store, Hung? What do you usually find there? Are you finding I messed this bag up. Are you finding these types of bags at the thrift store? Are you finding these other stuff sacks at the thrift store? Okay. Now, what am I going to put in this thing? Well, it depends on where it is. It depends on the weather forecast. Did you go through any river crossings? Are you likely to be wet? Do you need a change of socks and shoes? Do you need, like, so I'm going to say, I'm not going to show you all of the clothes. Okay. Um, I'm not going to show you all the clothes, but I'm going to back up for a second and show you this picture. So when I first started, this was my crew situation at races. So, my wife, she had a waist pack for me ready to go. You can see in that pack, we'll go over this when we're doing crewing. There's a bottle in there ready to rock. But then I had this thing called a Kelty bento bag. Here's my little crew binder so they know what I'm planning on needing when I get there. Looks like I got goldfish, bananas, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. How far can I zoom in on this? Let's find out. Boom, 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 boom. Can I zoom in? Nope, that's not what I want. Won't let me zoom. Okay, so in one, I had this plastic bin full of, let me see, I got an emergency blanket, I've got athletic tape, I got pre-wrap, this was obviously like a first aid thing. And then I had little Ziploc baggies full of all kinds of other stuff that I might want and need. And then these things like were stored inside this big bag. And that bag is huge. It's huge. I had an entire pharmacy of crap in that bag. And I want to tell you that most of the things that I brought, that I had my crew bring to the race for me, the race already had it. Or I would expect that the race has it. If the race doesn't have it, ask questions about your choices. I'll just say that. But in most cases, the race is going to have it. So really, the drop bag is for personal things that the race isn't going to have. So what do we have? I might have extra chamois butter ultra in there, our lube sticks from chamois butter. I might have, my chafing supplies. I might have these strategically placed in my drop bag so I could reapply. If I don't, normally I run with these things in my pack. I always have a stick of anti-chafe in me. I've got some nightmare stories. Lessons learned. But if I wasn't going to run with it, I'd have these in my drop bag. Okay? I might also have, let's see what I got. Allez. Biodegradable cleansing cloths. Something else I want to show you in that picture is I've got my crew brought for me this right here is a wash basin so I can literally wash my feet mid-race. Wash the grit and dirt and everything off of my feet and then put fresh socks on. But you can't have one of those wash basins in a drop bag. So maybe you have some kind of cloths, dude wipes, baby wipes, whatever it is. Something for you to wash with. Now, most of us use these to wash our face. And that's really to like get the salt that's all in your face off your face. Maybe it's like wash all that off and dirt and grime and whatever before you reapply your sunscreen. And to wash your feet. Here's another Bag Balm skin moisturizer with aloe vera. I might have that in my drop bag. I might have one of these. This is a little guy that I put my S caps or electrolyte tabs or salt sticks or whatever I'm using for electrolyte, added bonus electrolyte stuff. I'd have them in this little tube. And when I get to my drop bag, I'm just throwing the empty tube in and taking this one out. And I'm running with this. Or maybe it's just my refill for my other, which I don't have on me. It's actually in my pack. I save like medication bottles so that I can put my race ludes into them. And it's just legit another way to hold my medication, which is either S caps, salt sticks, E caps, whatever you want, whatever you call them. Other people you might put your Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatever crap that is your stuff, Zofran, ADHD meds, whatever you take to calm you down. You might put it in that little bottle all together. You might also use one of these. I got this from Dream Chasers the year I ran Grand Teton 100. No longer exists, but it's just like a little medication thing. And I might have that in my drop bag if I need to take my meds at a certain part or if I need extra pain relief. Okay, what else? There's a variety of different types of first aid kits, little first aid kits that you can buy on Amazon or REI or Walmart camping section or whatever. And you could just have these in your drop bags just in case the race doesn't have medical and you need something. If you fail to plan, you should plan to fail. So first aid kits. I have my own little blister kit that I take with me and race. This is like a master one here. But I'll show you that I usually put in my kits butterfly, medium closures, butterfly closures, moleskin. You might have advanced healing blister. These things are magic. The last times I had like major blisters in a race, I use these. I do my little whatever care I need to do, clean it up around the area, get it as clean as I possibly can, and then I put one of these bad boys on it. And it not only protects my blister or hot spot for the remainder of the race, but for like the next 5 days. These things like don't come off. These have saved my life during a race. Remember, your heels are your wheels. So having some kind of foot care kit every time you have a drop bag is not a bad idea. You might also bring one of these. It's a lancet that diabetics use to put in their thing to test their blood sugar. This tiny little needle that you can't see, even if I hold it up because we're out of focus, like a tiny needle on that thing. That's all you need to be popping blisters or relieving pressure in a blister during a race. You shouldn't be going to town with a pair of nail clippers mid-race on a blister. Like, you want to keep that thing as the skin intact as much as you can. Little pair of scissors to cut my moleskin with. That's all the stuff that's inside my personal little blister kit. And I might make a bunch of these to put in each of my drop bags along the course so that I can do my foot care along the way. This is a laminated obituary from my grandfather. He's the most influential and important person ever in my life until I had kids. And this has been in every single, it's been in a drop bag in every race I've ever run in. Just to remind me of why I run. So, yeah, I put that in there too, somewhere along the way. Nose slap. You might have 5-hour energy. This is the wake up stick. Smelling salts infused with essential oils. This stuff is brutal. Do recommend. Not affiliated. But yeah, you might have a stick of this somewhere. If you're at like 100K, getting sleepy, woo, at 100K during a 100 miler, I always have a toothbrush and toothpaste in that closest drop bag. It is life altering to be able to brush your teeth and refresh your mouth mid race during an ultra marathon. I mean, it could change your entire race. It could change everything, your attitude, how your body's functioning, your ability to create saliva, to eat and drink and keep things down, to kind of get the acid, the pH, better pH balance in your mouth. All those things like brushing your teeth could be huge. I also might put some other things that I don't have to show you. Golf towel, some kind of towel that I can wipe down with. Um, Rain gear if you're expecting it to rain. Your headlamp with extra batteries. Anytime you pick up your headlamp, you should pick up an extra pair of batteries just in case. Always have a spare battery, no matter what. For a long time in races, I don't know if this is still a thing, but we all used to have like charging sticks so we could make sure our phone is fully charged throughout the remainder of the race because that's so important. It is actually. Your phone is a life-saving device. It's a resource that we often abuse instead of use productively. And by that I just mean, like I said, like if the more you use your phone, the more you run the battery down. The more you run the battery down, the less use it is for you as a life-saving device. So, we used to have like little charging sticks or a charging brick of some kind, and we'd stuff that in a pack that I'm leaving on me out of the aid station, and I hook my phone up to it to charge my phone for the next however stretch that we have going on. So those are all the things that I would put in a drop bag, and there might be more, but I think that the most important things are the food and drink that you prefer, especially if the race isn't going to have it. If you are gluten intolerant, if you have celiacs, if you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, if you have any kind of specialty food preference, please do not expect that the race is going to cater to all of the food preferences that exist out there. There's thousands at this point. Our job is to make sure that there's food and water, and there's enough food and water to get you through, especially in the event of an emergency. But my thought is like, but I need to make sure that I have vegan foods for the vegans in the event of an emergency. If there's an emergency, my thought is, you being a vegan doesn't matter anymore. You just need to eat. Let's go. Sorry.
Bruh.
So if you have food preferences or things that you know that you're going to like, or you've figured out through your training that these foods settle well in your stomach, they sit well in your stomach, it's going to help you through your race, have those items in your drop bag. Electrolyte powder, change of socks, a way to wash your feet or your face, perhaps a toothbrush, and any clothes that you need coming out of the stretch you just ran or going into the stretch that's next, paying attention to the weather forecast and knowing what the temperatures are going to do at night. Those are, and some encouragement, a reminder of your why. A lot of people put Bible verses or poems or words from a song or pictures of their kids or whatever motivates you is in your drop bag as just a reminder of something that gives you the why or motivates you to keep going, especially when it sucks. Just a couple of realities of things that you might not think about. So our main job at the race, or my main job as the race director, and that I try to convey to the volunteers, is we want to make sure all of these drop bags get to each aid station in time for the first runner. First place runner could have a drop bag. I want to make sure that runner's drop bag and all of the others are at each station when the first runner gets there. Sometimes that's really hard, that's really tight. I try to work my race flow, deciding where drop bags can and cannot be based on the timelines that we're working with. And by the timeline, I mean is sometimes from the start to that place where the drop bag goes, the drive takes longer than the run. So then would I have drop bags there? No, I do it at the next place. That makes sense. Right? So the race director is thinking about all these logistics, and a lot of the times the reasons why drop bags can go some places and not go other places, it just really comes down to the race logistics and what I can reasonably accommodate, and can I guarantee that those drop bags are going to be there in time. And over the years, man, we've missed plenty of times. There have been a handful of runners that have gone through a place and their drop bag wasn't there. And when that happens, I adjust for the next year. Okay, that's not going to work. So we're not going to do drop bags there next year. Um, Other things to think about. So after you've all gone through, don't expect that this is an episode of Bewitched and somebody's just going to go or whatever. I'm sure, I don't know, I'll do it. And now your drop bag magically shows up at the finish line and it's there when you're done. No, I still need to have the volunteers take down the aid station after the last runner has gone through. They're taking down the aid station, loading up the drop bags, and they're bringing them to the finish with them. For the fast folks, that means your drop bags aren't going to be there when you get back. For the back of the pack, more than likely, your drop bags will be there when you get back. But if you're a fast kid, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to make it for you. I need to have enough volunteers who are like, if we're taking down the aid station, I can have one volunteer be like, all right, I got the drop bags, I'm going now. If I have enough volunteers, or if I have a race gopher, I can send somebody out. Hey, you've got mid-race drop bag duty. Go to these aid stations, get all the bags they don't need anymore, bring them back in, go back out, do it again. If I have enough volunteers, we don't always have enough volunteers to do all that. So don't expect your drop bags to just magically appear at the finish line. Sometimes there is a great delay. Sometimes it's okay for you to drive out to the aid station where the drop bags are allowed and pick it up. Get it yourself if you got to go. That's why usually I try to make sure drop bags can go to aid stations where there are crews allowed, so that as crews are leaving, I might ask your crew, hey, you heading to the finish? Would you mind grabbing some of these drop bags and bringing them with you and just dropping them off? Like, it takes a village. So I just like to remind everybody that drop bags aren't going to magically just be there when you're done. It takes time. There's a lot of logistics around that. And when we don't have enough volunteers, it becomes quite a challenge. So that's why I always say, like, I always need volunteers. There's always something to do. I've had a full roster of volunteers for Sheep Mountain before, and somebody emailed me, I want to help. What can I do? You're my gopher. You're my drop bag person, period. Or you're the ice person. I'm going to send you to the store with my card. And you're going to buy bags of ice and you're going to deliver them to these aid stations and maybe bring some drop bags back on your way in, kind of a thing. So I just want to make sure everybody knows, again, that they're not just coming right back. They don't just magically appear. It takes time. Be patient. And don't leave your drop bags behind. So it's a really mixed sentiment amongst race directors in the sport. Some race directors are like, oh yeah, I have no problem collecting drop bags that are left behind and then shipping them to runners. I don't have the budget for that. And I would need one storage unit just for leftover drop bags, just for abandoned drop bags on a race. And I would fill that little storage unit every year with the nastiest of things that you guys leave behind in your bags. Smelly shoes and socks and rotten food, and I've seen some nasty things. Like Jamil Khoury at Aravipa used to make videos of the things that they find in drop bags, and they would like eat them. Gross. That's not happening here. We got some more suggestions. I'm going to go through those. We have a question. Josh asks, what would be some food that you might leave in a bag outside the standard gels and protein bars? A baggie full of bacon. I've fried up some bacon before I left for a race, put it in individual baggies, and left them in my unrefrigerated drop bag. I do not care. That bacon is, maybe you buy a bag of bacon bits. Maybe you've got, a lot of people put burritos in their bags. Like they make a burrito at home, or like Scratch has that portable foods book. A lot of the stuff in there is like really unique stuff that is super high energy content. I might make some of that stuff and leave it in my drop bag. Um, yeah, I mean, I've had like sleeves of cookies, special candies that I want. Um, I've seen people have a whole pizza like wrapped up in their drop bag, like just slices of cheese pizza that have been sitting out there all day in the drop bag. Anything. Tiari says peanut butter and jelly, bacon, chips, usuals. Amy says, beware of food in your drop bag that could melt into a mess while sitting in the sun most of the day waiting for you to get there. That is a great suggestion. For sure. Toiletries, other types of toiletries, maybe like a little, maybe some like a refill of wet wipes that you might run with, or a refill of toilet paper, things that you might need between aid stations, right? Put that stuff in your drop bag. I've seen a McDonald's quarter pounder, and they had the volunteers warm it on the grill. Yes, Michelle, we do. That's Jim Swenson. Jim buys a bunch of quarter pounders and Big Macs or whatever on his way to the race, and he wraps them up in aluminum foil, puts them in his drop bags, and then when he gets to that station, he'll pull out the aluminum foil wrapped burger and hand it to the volunteers and be like, "Could you just heat this up on the stove a little bit for me? That'd be great, thanks." And they do it. That's what you need. That's what the volunteers are there for. So they'll hook you up. Yeah, it's, like I said, I've seen some wild stuff over the years. Arby's roast beef sandwiches, bags of fries, whatever. Especially McDonald's. That stuff holds well for 20 years. So, right, it doesn't go bad. Warm it up, wrap it up, warm it up. Then possibilities are endless. Okay, I think that's great. Hey, Josh, that was a great question. I'm going to comment here to email me because you want a pair of Catula Exospikes from our friends at Catula. I'm going to hook you up with our rep. We're going to email him directly. You're going to tell him what size you want, and he's going to ship them right to your door, straight from Catula. Thanks for asking such a great question. And thank you, everybody else, for your great suggestions, your answers, your comments, sharing your knowledge as well. Next month, Tuesday, May 6th, right after Cinco de Mayo, we're going to talk about crews. That clinic is designed for trail and ultra runners to learn about crews. What is a crew? When and where are they allowed? What are the typical rules around them? What are the best and worst people to have as a crew? How should runners best prepare their crews for the job ahead? And what are the realities of crews some folks may not think about? This up to 1 hour session will answer those questions and more.
That would be an amazing thing if that happened.
And I hope you'll join me then for free right here on the HPRS Facebook page. I'll also record that, upload it to YouTube so you can watch it at your leisure whenever you'd like. If anybody has any questions, please just email me directly, sherpajohn@gmail.com, SHERPAJOHN @gmail.com, or you can just email me through info@humanpotentialrunning.com. I'd love to help you out and make us all better, more well-prepared, and excited trail and ultramarathon runners. Thank you so much for joining me for this month's clinic. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in May. For the Human Potential Running Series, I'm Race Director John LaCroix. Thanks, everyone.